Ah, long time no see. Did you miss me? Admit it, you missed me. As for my absence, though, I was faced with the misfortune of contracting a little illness from one of you delightful plague rat D-class. Oh? Worried that I'm gonna hold a grudge over that? No, of course not. Why would I ever even do such a thing? I mean, enacting vengeance over a case of the sniffles is far below me. What sort of petty creature do you even take me for? Now, getting to sink my metaphorical teeth into someone after a week of not being permitted to run experiments, on the other hand, that is something I would be quite keen on indulging in. I am still quite tired, though, so I suppose that something simple would be in order. SCP-1114 shouldn't be too terrible, and just enough to scratch that violent itch for me. But the question of getting away with testing on it, I can't just say, yes, I beat and had this D-class terminated because I was bored and I wanted to get back into the swing of things. And now, can I? Well, while I think of something, I'll tell you a bit about 1114. It's an automotive crash test dummy, and other than its anomalous properties, it appears the same as any other would and could effectively perform the same tasks while inactive. The way it becomes active, though, is that when someone, specifically a human being, we have tried this with animals, has been injured within a 50-meter radius of the SCP, its face plating will then be remodeled to match the face of whomever it's bonded to. Once bonded, that is where the fun begins. Now any harm or injury inflicted upon you will affect the dummy rather than your physical body. At least the physicality, that is. You will still feel everything and respond accordingly. Such responses could include the standard physical recoiling, crying, screaming, blacking out. Come to think of it, it would make quite the handy interrogation tool, being able to inflict such levels of pain without death. Well, at least it would if it wasn't for the fact that once connected to another, there's no way to sever the bond outside of the death of the subject, which is still quite a possible thing to inflict. You would think that it would be tricky, since all physical damage the subject takes is now passed on to the SCP, but I may have left out the key detail that the opposite is also true. If damage is inflicted upon the dummy, well, the subject will be taking the beating instead. So, still relatively easy to disassemble. Disassemble. Now there's a fun idea. At first I was considering running a test to see what the smallest amount of damage a person would need to take in order to trigger the effects, but this sounds far more entertaining. After SCP-1114 has imprinted on you, let's see what happens if I take it apart. Piece by piece. Test dummies are easy enough to put back together, but you not so much. So, our test will be to say if I remove the dummy's arm, ever so gently, if yours will fall off in turn. So, if we can play a little more, then see if perhaps the reverse is true as well. That if I pop your arm back into place and then reattach the dummies if yours will fuse back together. Oh, this will be quite the exciting process. Oh, and if it doesn't reattach, well, what does it matter anyway? You'll be terminated by the end of this experiment regardless. We can't have a D class that's impermeable to damage just running around the Foundation, and we can't leave you permanently bonded to the SCP. We have other uses for it. So, at the end of the day, what does it matter if you have all of your appendages attached or not? Come along now. We have an experiment to conduct.